All right, welcome to part 5. So this is probably going to make sense, or it's going to be common sense to everybody but me. But I guess I'm going to talk about what I've learned so far, because I'm about to mix up possibly the last batch of concrete I need for this table, depending on how much this last leg takes as far as scooping it in, and we'll get into that. But I guess what I wanted to show you was a simple baking understanding that I came across, and that's the idea that you sift all this stuff dry before. See how it's two different colors? What if it was one color? What if in the process of mixing all this up you get sort of an off gray color before you add the water? That way you're sure that you mix the concrete into the sand. And I guess I think that maybe somebody watching is like a concrete worker and they're like, duh, of course you do that. But you know, I have no experience with this at all. I mean, this is so far outside of my wheelhouse. I have zero concrete training at all, and it shows, right? But that's okay, because I mean, you know, if you only tried things that you were good at, you'd never try anything. But look at that gray consistency, and now I'm ready. Well, I'll do a little bit more off camera, but I'll add some water, and I know that my concrete's mixed up right, and that it's going to do the job. So put that in your pipe and smoke it, right? Mix up the two ingredients and get them a uniform consistency, and then add the water. Anyway, lesson learned. And the water I'll be adding is so I have one part Portland cement, 3 parts sand, and I'm down to 1 1/4 containers of water, and that gives me a consistency that I can hold in my hand and rub up and down these concrete legs until it meshes with the mesh and it stays. So that seems to be the right ratio, and that's what I'm going to mix up here off camera. I'll be right back. All right, got my mix mixed up. I don't know how well you can see this. Let's see if I can get you an idea. All right, so it's sort of peanut buttery. All right, so this leg here still has some to do. So my method has just been to sort of rub it into the material. As you can see, it falls into the inside and doesn't leak out, which means I have there's a little bit of drippage. You can hear it maybe on the video, but generally speaking, if I get it through the mesh, it stays on the inside. So you just keep packing it in. This is messy. It's a good thing I put some concrete, it's a good thing I put some plastic down. Otherwise, I'd be like concreting the concrete floor of my garage with more concrete. Anyway, I'm just going to keep rubbing it along the outside edge of the mesh up and down until I've filled up the inside. And the inside, once it gets in there, it stays. And then I'd sort of smooth it out on the outside until I have a rough surface, right? This is also, we should talk about that, and maybe I've said it already a couple of times, and it just bears repeating that this is not the finished product. There's one more coating that goes on after this. It's called the scratch coat. And so as I finish the job, I still have another layer that I'm going to put on after this that's using finer sand so that I can get better detail. I'm just pouring it in through this top hole of my leg, and it looks like it's mostly staying. I mean, a little bit of it stripping out, but I mean, for general purposes, I'm accomplishing what I've designed, which is to make a container that holds concrete, but lets me add concrete. All right, well, I'm just jawboning as I do this, so let me do that off camera, and we'll pick it up as I'm putting my finishing touches on it. Okay, so I have hit every area that I want to hit. You can still see the expanded metal through the concrete, because the idea of this coating is not, have it look all fancy. I need it to dry for a bit so that I can slap another coat on. So I just need to let it rest, and I don't know. It looks like concrete. It's in the shape of wood, right? And the tops of the pieces of wood are smaller than the bottom, and the beginning of the branch is smaller than the end of the branch. I mean, I sort of got a few things going for me. If I got out my angle grinder, I could fix any little imperfections by grinding them down. If you do that, by the way, this is concrete dust, so make sure to wear a mask. I'll probably do something along those lines in places where it's poking out that I don't want it to. And also, there's a couple places like right here in the crook of the where you can still see plaster lathe. I may trim that lathe up and bend it in rather than try to, make the crook that much fatter, because I don't know that I don't know if you can see what I'm talking about, but there's plaster lathe there that's poking out. I'll probably just cut it and fold it in. And so a lot of these things I can't do because it's wet and I need it to be dry. As soon as it's dry, I'll make some areas smooth and tighten up a few of the places where it's not quite right. This bottom part, oh geez. The wet concrete isn't really a problem, because I can wait for it to dry and then chip off the pieces that are too thin and make a proper edge like I want to. So I'm concerned about it, but there's really not much I can do. The material's just too wet to shape. So more to come on that. Right? We'll mess with it more as time passes. Plus, having just slopped the concrete straight onto the plastic, there's probably a layer of lathe on the top part of the table that's still visible that needs to be properly gone over, but that's not today's project. So I will wrap this in plastic by folding the edges up so that it stays wet as long as possible, and we will visit this again on the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see you the next time.